Hello, and welcome back to the Grow with Gabby podcast. I'm your host, Gabby Roberts, and today we're talking about how to stop settling and start attracting the love that you deserve. And this is actually going to be the topic of one of my free masterclasses coming out soon. So we're not there yet, and we're not going to get into everything that I'm covering in the masterclass, obviously. This is just going to be scratching the surface today. But keep your eye out for some of the updates on my school community, Aligned and Unapologetic, and my Instagram at gabbyroberts.coach. But stay tuned because we're going to get into it today. But before we dive in, go ahead and subscribe so you never miss another episode. So let's talk a little bit about why I'm hosting this masterclass. One, the topic is dear to my heart, and it's because I chased love for so long. And I thought I was supposed to. And I realized I didn't chase it just in love. I chased it in my home life. I chased it in my friendships. I chased it in my work life. I truly accepted the love I thought I deserved. And it took me a long time to realize that I was chasing something that was never meant to be chased. And it's because I grew up in a home where that was modeled to me. I watched my mother chase this love and acceptance that really, again, was never meant to be chased. These things start from within. But was she taught that? No. So was I taught that? No. So I'm not teaching the whole thing here, like I mentioned. We're just scratching the surface. On February 22nd, though, we're going to get really deep into this topic. We're going to go for 90 minutes. We have a Q&A. We have all the golden nuggies, if you will. So I just want you to know kind of what sparked this in my heart. So if you have ever just felt like you were begging for love and attention and really like the basic things in your family, in your friends, in your work life, then you're not alone here. Okay. And this topic again is really dear to my heart. And that's why I've made this masterclass for you, because it really sucks begging for the basic things that you need just to feel understood and loved and accepted, even if you have flaws. So we're not chasing anymore. We're not settling. We're attracting the love that we deserve. Finally. Okay. So I just want to talk a little bit about the moment I kind of stepped into that. Okay, hold on. This isn't working for me. I'm done settling for people that aren't going to treat me the way I deserve because honestly, I let them. I just didn't realize that. So we're going to talk a little bit about energetic boundaries and how they really shifted my reality. And now I get to finally help on the other side of those things, which feels so good. I get to help my clients set those boundaries and really get clear with what they want and attract that. Not chase it. We're not chasing anything. We're attracting here like a magnet. And even if you're, again, sometimes people are confused when that term magnetic comes out because you sometimes attract people that are very different from you, but that doesn't mean you're not going to click. Okay. And do you know what? Some of those people that criticized your flaws, they didn't understand you. And that's okay. Because I got to a point where I was like, you know what? I would rather be alone and lonely at times than ever settle for less than I deserved. Okay. So these energetic boundaries that can genuinely shift your entire reality is you don't get what you want, okay? You get what you allow. So yes, you want a healthier relationship. Yes, you want people to stop walking all over you. You want people to respect you when you speak. Then you have to stop allowing it. And I know that that's easier said than done, but with time and with patience and with practice, these things get easier and easier. You think setting a boundary once and honoring that boundary is all you need? No, you have to remind people. And you also kind of have to shape how you want to be treated. You can't expect everyone to know that. So you have to be like, you know what? Is this working for me? Am I feeling respected in my relationship? And if not, then you have to set those boundaries and you have to decide what that is. Because if you're not happy, you get to decide what that is, right? And remember, happiness is a fleeting moment. It comes and it goes. But at the end of the day, it's not, am I completely happy 24/7? No, is what I have in my life good enough? Are the people respecting my boundaries? Am I feeling loved and appreciated? Am I being heard and seen and validated? Okay. So when all this happened, I was like, oh, okay, so I'm kind of a people pleaser because I got molded into being a people pleaser by a people pleaser, which makes sense. Okay, so I'm not broken. And I didn't become cold or bitter over this. I was a little triggered in the moment because I was like, okay, well, what do I do now? If I'm not supposed to chase love, like, what do I just sit around and wait for it to come to me? But no, you don't become unavailable or accept half-ass love. Like, this is personal. You have to decide, what do I want, and what am I willing to allow here? So the decision of me not allowing some things started with me. If you're going to put that boundary in place, then you are going to have to honor it. So if you put that boundary in place and someone walks all over it, well, that's your fault because you didn't set it firm enough. It's not always your fault. You don't need to self-criticize because some people will walk all over your boundaries no matter how good you are at setting them. But that's where you have to have that self-love come within, because it's not like, am I crazy for setting this boundary? Am I asking too much? You're not. You're just, it's not being respected. And that's a different side of things. Okay. So you may say that you hold your boundaries and you may try to, but you're the one at the end of the day who's got to be like, look, here's the line I'm not willing to cross. And if you're not willing to respect my boundaries in my relationship, in my friendships, in my life, in my work setting, then I got to go. Either I need to leave because I need to decide that this is not good for me, or you are leaving. Sometimes it's a relationship. Sometimes you're breaking up over it, and that's awful and it sucks. It does. But it's something that's needed. Okay, so let's talk about, yes, boundaries look nice on the outside, but what does setting them actually look like? Okay, and it's not always about having these big moments of betrayals, and you're like, okay, well, they disrespected me, they yelled at me, they slapped me around, like, horrible. It doesn't have to be like that. Sometimes it's really small. It's this slow sense of, like, erosion, if you will. It's those moments where you weren't heard or seen or validated, and you were dismissed or kind of brushed under the rug, if you will. Okay, and you can sit around and say, yes, they didn't mean it, but that word alone, they didn't mean it. You can only tell yourself that they didn't mean it so many times before you sit there and you're like, look, they're a conscious human being with a brain in their head. If they don't know how to treat me, I've laid out the boundaries, I've asked for what I needed, and they're still not respecting them, then again, that's when you have to come in and have that self-love of, hey, what am I willing to accept here? Because second guessing yourself and just convincing yourself that they didn't mean it, and I've been together with them for a long time and they have a good heart and they mean well. No, that's literally being grateful for having breadcrumbs given to you. And you can eat that shit up and ask for a second and a third and a fourth, and that's okay. I'm not saying what you're doing is wrong, but I'm saying that you're going to realize that this is no longer working. Why? Because you're allowing it. Okay? So shrinking so you're not too much for anyone else is not helping anyone. That's just making you smaller and smaller and smaller. And then you know what happens is you lose yourself. You fade away. You look in the mirror one day and you go, who the hell even are you? Why did you let these people treat you like shit? And you sit back and you go, I don't know. I don't know. And there is sometimes answers and sometimes not. Yes, it's conditioning from when you were raised. But being told that you're asking for too much by setting a boundary, that's wild to me. And boundaries aren't always needed with strangers or people on a first date. They're needed with close family and friends and the people around you as well. And it's not even personal. Again, we're going to get into that part in a second because there's so many people who are not okay with your boundaries. But what does setting them actually feel like? It feels really uncomfortable at first, okay? So when someone says you're asking for too much or you're being too much, that's okay. When you get to the point where you're begging and begging over and over and over again, you're going to realize that this isn't working. This clearly is not a proper love and affection that I'm needing. And sometimes when you're asking over and over and over just to text me back, just to show up on time, just to say what you're gonna freaking say and do that you said that you were gonna do, those aren't basic needs. It's just that you're asking the wrong person. Okay? So if you're in a romantic relationship and you're like, I don't get it. I've done all the things. I've literally asked them for everything. I've told them exactly how I need to be treated. Okay. Then like I said, and like I've mentioned on other podcasts, the let them theory is so valuable here. You can let them show you what kind of person that they are. And that's okay. It's not a bad thing. How could you ever be mad at somebody for showing you what kind of person that they are? Yeah, it sucks and it hurts, but you got to allow that to happen. Sometimes you're just asking the wrong person because the right person does that stuff with ease. They do it without asking. They do it so naturally, and you're over here like, wow, I was begging and begging and begging for so long when it never worked. And that makes sense. You're going to sit there and go, oh my gosh, duh. Why did it never work with that person? Because it was never meant to. You aren't a bad person for setting boundaries and asking for the things that you need. Now, the person you're with can say, "Hey, look, I can't give you those things, or I don't want to, or I'm not able, or I don't have the tools, or I'm not able to in some way." And you have to accept that as well. But most times, if they're able to, they will give those things to you. People, if they want to, they will. Okay? So some of these boundaries that we're talking about that can be mean, or you're overreacting, or you're being an asshole. No, it's none of the things. It's none of any of that. Boundaries are simply how you say, I love me too. And it doesn't mean that I can't love you and care about you. It just means I love me too. And it hurts when things are disrespected and not validated and seen. These are to keep me safe, not to punish you or make you feel like you're a bad person. You're not too much. It's just that genuinely, like, people are normalizing the little bits that they are not held. They're not. They're barely given the bare minimums and then expected to be praised for it. So when these boundaries that should be bare minimum come out, they're like, oh my God, how could you ask that of me? Like, how could I ask that of you? How could I ask you to text me back and show up on time and do the shit that you say you're gonna do? Like, those are, again, basic needs, but we've been normalized that you're asking too much of that person. And again, if you're asking too much, okay, no worries. I won't ask you anymore. I'm going to take care of myself, be a little lonely in the transition, but I'm going to find someone who will give me those boundaries. Okay. And if someone's like, you're crazy for asking these things, okay, I'd rather be crazy than be treated like I don't matter. I'd rather be lonely and sad than be treated less than I deserve. Some people are full blown gaslit when they try to set boundaries. Like, oh my God, how could you say that? I always treat you right. That's not even true. They dismiss it, they disvalidate it, they talk about something else, they'll flip it on them, and it's just like, it's frustrating at times because it's not about you, it's about me. This is what I need to feel safe. And that should always be honored. Even if you can't give them that person, you can acknowledge and validate those boundaries because it's important to me and tell them. And look, no is a whole sentence. And because I don't want to is a whole sentence. These boundaries in a relationship, if you don't want to do or say something with somebody, then that should be honored. Okay? Like, I've had so many people ask me why when I say I don't want to. Like, why do I need a reason? I don't want to. Or past boyfriends, or even like just so many. I'm not gonna trying not to call people out here. It's been so many times where when I say no about something and they're like, why? Or I don't want to. Why not? Why are you even asking me why? Does it matter if I gave you a reason of why? And then we're over here sitting there here forced to be like, well, because my head hurts, or because I'm tired. We're literally forced to be inauthentic to make them feel better about their feelings, which that is on you. If your feelings are hurt, go take care of your feelings. That's okay, but you don't get to make someone else feel crazy for needing some me time. And sometimes, especially when you're just getting into a new relationship and they want to hang out all the time, they want you to text them all the time, that stuff doesn't last 24/7. You cannot be texting people 24/7. You have a life. I get it. But make them a priority. Let them know, hey, I love texting you. I love enjoying talking to you. But I have work. I have to study. I got to take care of my kid. I got to go for a walk. I just want to be alone. There doesn't always have to be a reason. So just accept that, you know what? Your boundaries are not mean, and no is a full sentence. And I don't want to doesn't need a reason. Okay. So hear that, replay that, write it down, keep it somewhere. Because you know what? Setting the boundary is easy, even if it's hard. Holding the boundary can be really hard too, as well. So I'd, again, just rather be a single person that is enjoying my own company than be dismissed and not be able to be myself. Like, that's like one of my biggest nightmares, is not having the freedom to be myself. and feeling like I have to shrink myself or always play small. And like, no, not doing that. Never again, you know? So, anyway, let's move on. Your nervous system is always taking notes. That's why they talk about in the book, The Body Keeps Score. I have it right here. That it does. The brain, the mind, and the body in the healing of trauma. Their body remembers what your mind may not. You ever walked in a room and had your body just freak out for no reason? And you're like, I don't understand. I wasn't doing anything. Or you're just sitting on your couch doing nothing and your body's like freaking out. That's probably because you had some moment in your life that you were not able to slow down. You were either reprimanded, called lazy, forced to be doing something. There's an old timing like mindset that's like, if you're bored, then you're not doing something. Like boring people get bored, like go do something. And so you don't always have to do all the time. Okay. So your nervous system always pays attention to those things. But that's what I'm talking about. That could be a whole nother podcast episode. I'm talking about the boundaries in your relationships. Like I said before, these big things that you need to set boundaries for don't need to be as big. They need to be like, hey, that one time that you just shut me down and didn't acknowledge or validate me at all and didn't honor my boundary when I told you I needed a moment to myself. Those little things is when your body remembers it. It remembers when it doesn't feel good. It remembers when it doesn't feel safe. Even if it's years later with a different person, it can still bring up a flash, a memory, especially if you have PTSD or CPTSD, which is not just one flashback, it's many when you have CPTSD, like myself. So it could be years later with a different person. You're like, I don't understand. This new person loves me. They didn't treat me like my ex. Like, what's going on? Why do I still feel so anxious? Because your body goes, whoo, shit, man, I've been here before. You may not remember, but I've been here before and I didn't feel safe. This is dangerous. This is danger. This is danger. Okay. So healing your nervous system and your relationship to yourself, because that's where it starts. When you don't settle and you don't accept less than you deserve, comes from with yourself. When your nervous system, you've got to teach it. This is the new lifeline. This is the new baseline of safety here. Okay. I know it feels scary, but we're not there anymore. We're not with that person. We're different. We chose differently this time. And that's something that, oh my God, sorry. God damn it. And that's something to tell your nervous system over and over and over again, that we aren't the same as we were. We don't tolerate what we used to. And I know that you're scared and I'm sitting here with you with that discomfort, but that doesn't mean that we're not okay. And that doesn't mean that things aren't different this time, and even that might be another trigger that's going to bring up something else that racked in from the nervous system, from the inner child, that, didn't we used to say, like, hey, they didn't mean it, things are different this time, and now you're over here saying it again, that things are just different this time? How do I know? Are you lying? Is this a trick? Is this a trap? Like, it's okay for your nervous system to freak out a little bit, because this is new. Your nervous system doesn't like new, doesn't like things that are not predictable. If it's predictable, then it knows how to keep you safe, okay? So when you start to focus on regulating your nervous system, calming the body, taking those deep breaths to just long, slow exhale, like sigh it out, breathe it out, let your body know, hey, it's okay. Just because you were hurt before does not mean that you're going to get hurt again. It's okay to prepare for the worst, but let's hope for the best, because you know what? With our new set of boundaries and our new terms and our new line in the sand, we aren't going to get hurt again. We're going to become a magnet for healthy love, because I love myself. And I'm not going to blame myself for being with a bad person. I'm not going to blame myself for not having good boundaries in the past. I'm not going to blame myself for being a people pleaser or letting other people treat you like shit in the past. You're not judging here. We're just learning and we're observing. We're being curious rather than judgmental, okay? And if those people can't accept that you have boundaries, Rocky, can't accept the fact that you need some space and some time to recover and to heal from some people may not treating you the way that you deserve to be treated, then let them leave. If someone can't meet you at their boundary with time, you can't expect someone to change overnight, let them leave. Even though it hurts. Again, I'd rather be lonely. I'd rather be crazy. I'd rather be all of these things than be with the one who makes me feel small and like I'm crazy for setting boundaries. Okay? So yes, People do leave sometimes, but in my experience, I have not seen people leave the ones that they truly love and accept. I see people leave the ones that they were using, the ones that didn't matter to them that much, the ones they may have been attached to or have this lust over, which, if you don't know the difference to that, check out a couple of my other podcasts. We get a little deeper into that topic. But people will go, and that's okay. And you know what? Sometimes it's okay to lose those people because they create such a beautiful space for more people to fill that space and love you in the way that you always deserved. So I know in the moment you can sit there and talk about how it's awful and you can convince yourself to stay, but you'll realize in time that it's just not working. You're not anyone's second choice. And you know what? If they want to go, there's the door. Because again, when one door closes, another door opens. So I know it feels like a rejection. I know it feels like a failure. I know it feels like, damn, what is wrong with me? Why can't I keep these good people in my life? But it's not. It's simply a redirection. So thank this moment. I was going to say thank it now, but no, you'll thank it in the future. You'll thank it down the road. You may not see the reason why it's happening, but you will when that person comes into your life and loves you more than ever. This can be friendship. This can be a business partnership. This can be a romantic partnership. This can be many things. Love and relationships and connections come in all forms, but you'll need boundaries in all of these areas. It's not just with your boyfriend or girlfriend or partner or husband, spouse, none of that. Could be with your little sister, could be with your family, could be with your parents, could be with your children, could be with your friends, your coworkers, your boss. Okay? So you don't have to convince anyone to stay. Even if you're in a business relationship and you set those boundaries and they didn't honor those boundaries and they let you go, okay, that's all right. You don't have to change. There's so many stories where people were rejected for setting boundaries or just being themselves. Someone who you'll probably recognize that as a pretty big podcaster, Oprah Winfrey, literally talks about how she was fired from a show for being too emotional. Okay? And guess what? She's now like the freaking queen of the talk shows. And you know what? If she would have just accepted the fact that there was something wrong with her or she was too emotional and just didn't go after her dream, she's helped hundreds of thousands, millions of people. Still is. So just know that if people need time to connect to your boundaries, that's fine. But don't sit around and wait and wait and wait at the expense of your own heart that deserves the love and the boundaries and the respect that you're giving them. Okay? So let's move on. Self-trust is sexy. Let's be honest. You're not too picky. You just need to trust yourself because you know what? I thought I was picky too for a long time. Remember, you don't convince anyone to stay. The right people will. And it's okay to be picky. It's okay to be like, nope, I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't want that. How do you think I have such a healthy relationship with my husband? I dated so many of the wrong people. Wrong. They were right for me in that moment, in that time. And I convinced myself that I was happy, but I wasn't because I was over here begging them for basic ass needs that shouldn't be begged, okay? So when you trust in yourself, even if you feel crazy in that moment for leaving them and you are like, shit, should I have done that? Should I go back? No, you don't need to convince anyone to stay. The right people will. What you attract, you embody. And you know what? If you're attracting a bunch of icky people, they might make you feel icky over time. That's what like narcissistic people do, is they always make it seem like it's your fault. And they make you feel bad about yourself for the things that they were doing. Weird, right? Twisted, right? So real, true love meets you where you're at. Okay? You're not picky or annoying, or people, if they roll their eyes at like, oh my God, she's asking all these things. That's fine. I wish I had my piece of paper out right now when I wrote front and back 40 things that I wanted in my ideal partner. 40. And did I feel picky in that moment? Yes. I was like, oh my God, these are a lot of things. Guess what? Did I meet a person who meets all 40 of those things? Yes. Yes. So no, you're not picky, my love. You're just asking the wrong person to give you the love that you deserve. But you know what? That starts within. So if you love yourself, others will love you too. Because that love magnetizes and it raises your vibrations and brings you in more beautiful people who deserve your love. Okay? Not everyone deserves that piece of you. Okay? Especially if you're, again, staying at the expense of your own personal peace and boundaries and joy and happiness, you know? So this isn't about them. This is about you. You deserve the love and the kindness and the devotion that you give to them. You deserve all the things and more. You deserve softness and standards. And if that bothers someone, then, they have some work to do on their own emotions. And that's okay. Their emotions are not your responsibility. They don't have to understand, but they don't need to be mean about it. That's one thing that drives me crazy is with this disconnection in relationships. It's like if I disagree, then I have to bash you for it. And it's like, that's okay. You don't have to understand, but you don't get to disrespect me in the process. You're allowed to walk away even if it hurts. And yes, it's going to hurt because you know what? Leaving someone you thought you loved and loved you back is one of the most painful things. But oh, to grieve, oh, to feel, oh, to love someone is the most beautiful thing in the world. So if you're grieving and you're angry, it's because you once loved them and they didn't respect you, but that's okay. Wanting more is not greedy. Wanting more is growth. Wanting more is realizing that you had less and there's better out there. And you can always want more while still being grateful with what you have. But when you're in a relationship, it is so important for you to ask for what you need, because how can they give you what you need if you're not asking and being honest? And if you don't know and you're not even being honest with yourself, then well, how is anyone supposed to change? It all starts with you when you stop settling and actually start attracting the love that you deserve. So I have a few journal prompts here. And you can pause, you can ponder, you can rewatch this, you can journal now, you can watch it all the way through and then come back to these prompts. You can not do the prompts. I don't care. But I want you to ponder these things, because if you're feeling this pull of, I don't know if I'm really feeling like this is it, like if this is enough for me. And again, doesn't make you selfish or greedy or too much for asking for more. But be honest and don't criticize yourself here. Be curious. Don't be judgmental. There's no need to judge yourself. We're our worst inner critics anyway. Let's just simply process what's going on here. Ask yourself, where have I been settling? In love, in connection, in my job, in the people around me, in my friends, in my family? What's going on? Have I been losing connection in somewhere in my life? What is it? Don't judge yourself for it when it comes up. Maybe it is your family. Maybe it is the people around you. Maybe it is your coworkers. Maybe it is your boss. Maybe it's the job that you've been working for a long time. Judging yourself in this moment is not going to help. Just be aware, because then you get to decide with the pieces that you have here what to do with it now. And then you can make an action plan. And if it's a huge quit your job and start your life over, okay, breathe. It's going to be okay. We're going to take that big goal and we're going to break it down into little bite-sized action steps so you can manage this, okay? You're not alone. All right? What would change, ask yourself, if I trusted that the love I desire actually exists? What if it's out there? What if you're not crazy? What if you're not too picky? What if it's out there? And the only person standing in the way is you. Okay? What if? Don't judge yourself. Last journal prompt, okay? What boundary have I been terrified to set because I didn't want to feel like I was too much or judged for it? Write it down. Let it out. And if these things bring up some emotion, anger, resentment, confusion, that's okay. Let it out. You're not alone here. Okay? So that's all I got for you guys today. If you are loving this podcast, go ahead and share it. Share it with your friends, share it with your family, share it with somebody that you feel like needs to hear this, because the last thing I want is for anyone to feel like they're alone or crazy in this journey for setting boundaries and deciding that, you know what? The things I let slide in the past isn't going to work for me. Okay? Because that's the only way that this podcast grows, is if you share it with your friends. So go ahead and take a screenshot of this episode if it touched your heart. Tag me on social media at gabbyroberts.coach on Instagram, or you can always message me on school in my group, Aligned and Unapologetic. It's free. I want to hear your feedback. I want to hear what touched your heart so I can, one, personally thank you, and two, touch on these journal prompts. Like, tell me everything. I'm so curious. I want to hear what came up. And if you did judge yourself during this process and you totally spiraled, that's okay too. Because if you think I didn't have my own little journal prompts as I was leaving my toxic exes and I spiraled going, oh my God, I'm over here settling for less than I deserve. Shit, how did this happen? It's okay. It's okay. You're not broken. You may have been modeled some toxicity in your life and you just assumed that this was okay. Again, you most times accept the love you think you deserve. And that's okay. Okay? You're not alone. Look out for more updates inside Aligned and Unapologetic, my school community, and on Instagram for updates of the future masterclass. We got into this. This is 30 minutes in. I am barely scratching the surface of what we're actually going to talk about and get really deep and allow you guys to show up vulnerably and ask your own questions. Pause me. Be like, I need you to go deeper on this, or share where you feel like you can relate on a call. It's all free. I want to give back. I want you to learn that you're not alone. Okay. So anyway, I'm going to leave you the same way I do every single week. Be fearless, be free, do it your way, even if it feels messy.